My sister was enjoying a $120 surf and turf, while I was told to fill up on free bread. The humidity of the coastal air clung to my skin, but inside the Blues Salt Grill, the atmosphere was ice cold. It was my mother's 55th birthday, an event I had meticulously coordinated, from the sunset seating to the $300 floral arrangement. Currently sitting in the center of the table, that my sister, Chloe, was busy adjusting the lighting for a TikTok, her luxury lifestyle persona on full display. "The aesthetic here is everything," she chirped, not once looking at me. When the waiter arrived, my mother didn't hand out menus. She took charge. "My birthday girl needs the best," she beamed, pointing to the specials. "Chloe will have the $120 Wagyu and lobster surf and turf. And I'll have the same. It's a celebration, after all." The waiter turned to me, pen poised. I opened my mouth, but my mother's hand shot up, a flat, dismissive gesture. "Oh, Sarah isn't that hungry," she said, her voice dripping with that familiar, sugary condescension. "She had a late lunch. Just bring her the house-side salad. And keep the bread baskets coming, she can fill up on those." Chloe didn't even look up from her phone as she muttered, "Yeah, save the room for the real food, Sar." I felt the familiar prickle of heat behind my eyes, but I didn't flinch. I watched as the waiter returned minutes later, placing the sizzling, butter-drenched lobster and marbled steak in front of Chloe. The scent was intoxicating, a $120 insult served on a ceramic plate. My side salad, 3 wilted leaves of romaine and a single cherry tomato, was set down with a quiet thud. In that moment, a shift occurred. It wasn't just about the food. It was the $450 total I knew was coming. As a senior auditor, I lived in the world of balances. And the scales had just tipped too far. The house was silent, but my mind was a cacophony of red flags and line items. At 1 a.m., the blue light of my laptop screen was the only thing illuminating the kitchen. Most people would have cried or called a friend to vent. I opened Excel. As a senior auditor, I knew that emotions could be manipulated, but numbers were cold, hard, and incapable of lying. I titled the sheet, Project Transparency. I started with the family shared expense account, the one I'd been contributing $2,000 to every month since my father passed, under the impression it was for Mom's medical cushion and property taxes. I pulled the last 12 months of statements. My heart didn't just drop, it crystallized. Line item 1, $1,200 at a luxury boutique in Beverly Hills. Line item 2, $4,500 for content creation equipment, which I recognized as the high-end camera Chloe used for her struggling artist vlogs. Line item 3, a recurring $800 payment to a PR management firm, specializing in influencer growth. That I wasn't just paying for Mom's peace of mind, I was the silent venture capitalist for Chloe's delusions. I began cross-referencing my personal savings goals against these withdrawals. The $120 surf and turf from dinner wasn't a one-time snub, it was the interest on a debt they never intended to pay. By 3:45 a.m., the spreadsheet was a digital graveyard of my own generosity. Total misappropriated funds, $86,400. I added a final column for emotional labor, the hours spent fixing Mom's plumbing, the weekends lost to Chloe's emergencies, and the birthday dinner I just paid for while eating a side salad. Seeing it itemized like a corporate audit was the ultimate validation. The Bank of Sarah was officially insolvent. I didn't feel anger anymore, I felt the sharp, clinical precision of someone about to close a failing account. The morning didn't bring a change of heart, it brought a strategy. I didn't call Mom to argue. I didn't text Chloe to complain. Instead, I sat at my desk and began the decoupling process with the surgical precision of a corporate liquidator. Step 1. I revoked all authorized user access on the shared accounts. Step 2. I moved my remaining capital into a private entity they couldn't touch. Then, I drafted the letter, not a "Dear Mom" note, but a formal notice of financial termination. The explosion happened at 10:15 a.m. My phone lit up with 16 missed calls. Then came the social war. Chloe, realizing her business credit card had been declined at a high-end salon, took to the family group chat. "Sarah is having a mental breakdown. She's cut off Mom's medical fund. We're stranded." My aunts and cousins began chiming in, the digital pitchforks coming out. "How could you be so selfish, Sarah? After everything your mother has sacrificed?" I waited. I let the smear campaign reach a fever pitch before I dropped the hammer. I didn't send an angry paragraph. I sent a PDF. It was a condensed version of Project Transparency. I titled the file, The Audit of the Golden Child. It laid out every designer bag, every business trip to Tulum, and every cent of the $86,400 they had siphoned from my future. I attached the receipt for the $120 surf and turf next to the photo of my bread basket dinner. The group chat went dead. The silence was absolute. An hour later, my doorbell rang. It wasn't a knock, it was a demand. I looked through the camera and saw them, Mom looking fragile and Chloe looking furious. I didn't open the door. I spoke through the intercom, my voice a flat, robotic monotone. "The Bank of Sarah is closed for restructuring. All further inquiries must be directed to my legal counsel." I watched on the monitor as Chloe's entitlement hit the wall of my indifference. For the first time in my life, I wasn't a daughter or a sister. I was a fortress, the aftermath was a study in gravity. Without my financial oxygen, Chloe's luxury brand didn't just stumble, it evaporated. The influencer lifestyle is a house of cards, and I had pulled the bottom row. Within 3 weeks, the loft she owned was back on the market, and the designer bags were being sold to a luxury consignment site just to cover the utilities. The final meeting took place at a neutral coffee shop, my choice. Mom sat across from me, her usual armor of moral superiority replaced by a look of stunned exhaustion. She tried the old script one last time. Family doesn't keep score, Sarah, she whispered, her voice trembling with practiced fragility. Accountants keep score, Mom, I replied, sliding a final folder across the table. And as of today, I'm retired from this firm. Inside was a settlement agreement. I wouldn't sue for the $86,400, but in exchange, the deed to the family summer cottage, the one my father wanted me to have, was to be transferred solely into my name. No more shared assets. No more, we'll pay you back. Chloe didn't even show up. I heard through Aunt Linda that she'd taken a job as a junior receptionist at a firm she used to mock. The golden child was finally learning the value of a dollar she didn't steal. As I walked out into the crisp afternoon air, my phone buzzed. It was a notification of the deed transfer. Balance, 0. I looked at the sunset, feeling a lightness that had been missing for 2 decades. I wasn't the reliable one anymore. I wasn't the backup plan or the safety net. I was an independent entity. Through the window of the cafe, I saw my mother staring at the empty seat I'd left behind. She could keep her surf and turf memories. I had the ledger, the deed, and for the first time in my life, I had the quiet that we were finally square.